If I try to get in front of some group organization, I try to like speak like I know all the numbers and I'm that really smart like wizard guy on your team, then like I'm not being myself. I just don't think I'm as genuine. I don't think people will like.
Sometimes in a family, that dynamic around like showing up as an example is a little bit more challenging, because if I set the example and pick up all the stuff in my house that my kids leave everywhere, like, will they just get it and start doing it, right?
Question for you guys is, what keeps people from having the confidence to just be authentic? And why do people have to show, why do they have to like pretend there's something that maybe in their heart and spirit they're just not?
Welcome to the Everyday Leader Podcast. Leadership is a choice. Join me, Matt, and my co-hosts Drew and Tate each episode as we break down how to lead powerfully in your family, team, and organization. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Everyday Leader Podcast. Today, Drew and I are really excited to have an absolute legend with us, Brian Greene, who has become a really close friend of mine, and grateful to know him and his family. So, Brian, thanks so much for being on, man. Excited to talk today.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm super excited to be on your podcast. And Matt, you've been a blessing in my life, and I appreciate you inviting me. And Drew, you're just a good dude, man. So thanks for letting me be on.
Yeah, of course. Well, so we often start out our show with just a simple question around like, what is leadership to you? So we'll start there. And we got a whole lot more that we want to get into. And for you, Brian, like when you think about leadership, it's a pretty broad, sometimes diluted term. A lot of people have a different understanding of what it is. Curious what it is for you. Like, what does that mean to you when you think about and talk leadership?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, fundamentally, I would say for me, I think one of the biggest blessings I've had in my life, and whether that's through my professional career or sports, I would say leadership gives people the opportunity to serve and gives people the opportunity to develop and to really influence people to become who they are meant to become. And I think when you can tie, whether it's an organization's vision and goals or in sports, an organization's goals, and you can influence people to achieve that goal, I think that's such a powerful blessing that one can have. And I also think that there's different types of leaders. And I have found that if you can be a genuine, if you can be yourself and know what your superpowers are, you you can really influence people. And um, so I would say it's just the ability to serve. And I'd also say it's it's an opportunity for me to look at myself and see how I can improve. And why I say that is it's because I think my type of leadership is trying my best to lead through example. Um, and so being a leader gives me the opportunity to develop myself and just try to my actions speak louder than words. So that was probably long-winded, Matt, but I just think it's a blessing, and it's an ability to bless other people's lives.
Yeah.
So I want to
No,
ask you
that's so
something,
good.
Brian, because you said something. I don't know if I've heard anyone on our show say this before, but you talked about just knowing your superpower, and you can lead through knowing that. Can you expound or break that down, or tell us what your experience has been with that?
Yeah, so I'm a believer that God has given us talents and attributes, and I'm a believer. So, whoever's listening, whatever your beliefs are, I'm just a believer that God has given me certain talents, um, and it's through life experience, it's through different talking professionally, different roles that I've had. that I've kind of I've learned what I feel like I've developed and what I'm capable of doing. So, for example, Drew, to answer your question, I would say one of my superpowers is just connecting to people and building relationships with people. I wouldn't say I'm the most analytical. I don't get excited about getting into a spreadsheet and looking at year-over-year numbers and running formulas. I'm not the most like what I'm trying to develop is more process-driven leadership, but I'm not like the most process-driven guy. I'm like your hardworking guy. I would say my superpowers are hardworking. I'm curious, and I would say I I just can connect to people and try to just meet people where they are. And so I think if I try to get in front of some group organization, I try to like speak like I know all the numbers and I'm that really smart like wizard guy on your team, then like I'm not being myself. I just don't think I'm as genuine. I don't think people will like buy into it. But if I can be myself and be genuine, I think people can just feel that energy and just kind of grab onto it and just know I am who I am and I'll just kind of stay in that lane. And I think the power of leadership, I think a true leader will hire people that are better than them or surround themselves with just as good of people or better than them that are better, more analytical, more process driven. I think that's the beauty of like business and teams.
Yeah, that's so good. And just in case anyone's wondering, Brian is like the ultimate connector of people. Dude, almost on a daily basis, I look at the people I'm interacting with on a daily basis and I'm like, yeah, I know that person because of Brian. Oh yeah, Brian introduced me to that person. Or like, I know that person because Brian, set up something and I met them there or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's been a huge blessing. Your connectedness has been a huge blessing to me too. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Same to you, man.
I love that though, and I think that it's actually a big time myth that our society has created, like around strengths and weaknesses, and that you need to be better, like get better in all of these different things. And it's like, yeah, always be climbing and lean into your superpowers. Like, don't think that you have to be someone you're not just because that's what society says you're supposed to be. So I love that, man. Like, recognize your superpowers and lean into those, and surround yourself with people that help fill the gaps that you have.
Yeah.
Don't force yourself to go do something that's super draining just because that's what you're supposed to do. So I love that.
Yeah. It's I'm learning so I work in the real estate space, but I work for a company that really we call ours we kind of our internal mojo or mantra is like we're a self-development company that happens to buy real estate. And the principals of the company, they shared a clip from Mitt Romney and he talked about when he was kind of gaining a lot of traction in the private equity space. He spent a lot of time. He overspent or he spent a lot of time. He thought you had to help develop people's weaknesses, and he spent a lot of time trying to develop those weaknesses. And he has a video where he said, "I finally had an epiphany that like I don't have the ability I don't have the time, nor is it worth my time to like try to sit down with people and develop their weaknesses. I'm going to find their strengths and I'm going to double down on their strengths and then I'm going to find people where other people are weak that can support their strengths and then you just grow together." And to your point, Matt, like yeah, like I'm trying to become more process driven. Of course, I'm trying to be as analytical as I can in my business, but like I'm kind of trying to stay in my lane and also just be me, you know? So,
Yeah, that's
interesting.
awesome. It's like huge lesson for anyone that wants to show up as a leader. Like a big part of showing up as a leader is showing up as you
Yeah,
and embracing that with boldness and confidence.
for sure.
That's so good. Okay, well, so one of the things that I want to make sure we have some time to talk through is gratitude. So besides being the ultimate people connector, when I think Brian Greene, I think gratitude, right? I think of like hashtag blessed and grateful. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what, where did that come from? What are some of the things that led you to just be the gratitude guy? Like, where that's a huge focus in your life?
Yeah, I mean, well, I appreciate that, man, and I'm definitely not perfect, but,
I know that too.
yeah, you do know that. Um, I just I would not to talk too much about my faith, but I believe the greatest leader is Jesus Christ, and in learning more about him, he's influenced me in a way where my belief structure is that basically everything that I have was given from him, and I think when I look back on my life, and Matt, we talked about this, like I'm, something I don't talk about often, but I am adopted, and just like it's just being given the family that I have, and then for me, like I think what influenced it was just I'm not. I would say I'm athletic, but I was an undersized basketball player that got to a high level, and I look back and that I mean, I clearly worked hard, but just being in a family that supported me and gave me the opportunity to get in that position, and I know what life's way bigger than basketball, but it really surrounded me with the people that have changed my life, and now that I interact with professionally, um, and then I would say, my friends, my family, my wife, like I don't know how to answer it other than I just am a believer that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and being able to repent and be forgiven and knowing what I have, like my health, um, my wife, I mean, she is like the rock of my life. I call her my life coach, and she doesn't like that because she's like, "No, I'm your wife." And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
you're my wife, like, but you're my life coach." And like, I don't know. I just think it's the gospel of Jesus Christ that's influenced me to just try to be grateful, and probably my parents, growing up in the family that I did, and just the experiences that just overall just I just feel like I just I just try to be grateful for everything I have. I don't know if that answers it, but that's influenced
No,
me.
that's awesome, man. And yeah, like I've heard it said that, you can't be full of fear or angst or anxiety when you're full of gratitude. And that's my experience of you. Like, that's what I see you demonstrating so often. Not that you never experience those things, because I'm sure you do. And because of your intentionality around expressing gratitude and being grateful, there's just less room for that stuff in your life.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and I just think when you can just show gratitude and remind yourself of everything you have, um, just a job that I have right now. I mean, friends like you two. I mean, it just creates like when you're going through challenges, it creates, I don't know, it gives you hope, and it reminds you of like life isn't that bad, and just keep going.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I don't have the context here.
Yeah.
Why is Brian the gratitude guy? Like, we got to hear a story around this, or what? Like, where do
Yeah.
you see that example, Matt? And then Brian, why is that? Why has that become central to you? So,
Yeah. I I mean, I don't know, Matt, if you I don't know. I guess I can answer that.
Yeah,
Um
dude, you answer it.
um I don't know, where Matt sees it. I would say like it's vernacular, like, I try to just, whether it's through, like, our friend group text, or, whether I'm posting on LinkedIn, what I don't what I never wanna be is the guy that, like, I just don't like surrounding myself with people that are prideful and know-it-alls and have that type of energy, and so maybe I over-index on it, Drew, to answer your question. It's real. It certainly is real, but I guess when maybe Matt, maybe Matt, you can maybe you can share this, like, when you start to become active on social media, you become vulnerable. There's some insecurities around that. There's this, pause before you hit post around, is this me? Is what I'm saying genuine? And when I've become, maybe it's because when I become more active on LinkedIn, I will typically say like blessed or I'm so blessed because I just don't want people to feel like I'm a know-it-all and I've got my life figured out because I definitely don't. But I just want people to realize like, oh my gosh, like sometimes we obsess about growing these large businesses and becoming like successful entrepreneurs and whether it's the material things of life. And like, I'm in this place where it's like, I'm just marinating in what I have. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got 4 kids, one on the way. I live on an amazing hobby farm. I have the health that I need. I mean, so I just try to like, I'm trying to be a light. I think I want to be a light in this life. And I think gratitude creates light. And I think I wanna surround myself with other people that are grateful, so probably just I vocalize it and then I attract other people that are grateful. It's probably how to answer that, Drew.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
I
you.
don't know.
That's actually, it's like beyond gratitude. There's a lot of like lessons in what you're sharing right here for anyone who's listening, right? If you want to become known for something, you're going to want to start talking about it all the time. Like, and that's what like, that's my experience of you, right? Like to your point, whether you're texting me directly in our group text on LinkedIn, that's what you're expressing. That's what you're talking about. And so in my mind and the mind of many others, like you are becoming and have become known for that. So like that's the one of the lessons here is like if you want to become known for something, or even if you don't like have some big aspiration to become known for something, the way you do is that you talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's how I've seen it happen with you, Brian. And dude, you have found your authentic voice on LinkedIn. It's just working for you, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think
That's
to your point, right? A lot of it is because you just are really committed to just showing up as you and not trying to be something else. And I think that's not only does that platform reward you, I think it resonates with people.
well, yeah, and like not to like talk deeper about LinkedIn, but it's interesting and I'm not trying to gain I don't have this like metric in my mind to gain followers or I'm definitely trying to influence for certain reasons, but
Yeah.
I'm not like quote unquote an influencer. But it's interesting what you say, Matt, like talking about I'm curious what you guys think, but like once again, if someone can be authentic in their leadership role or if they don't have the title, if someone is authentic, taking LinkedIn, it creates following. And I think that's the core of leadership is if you can influence and if you have followers, not in like a prideful way or like a in just a
Not like
simple
authoritative. Yeah.
yeah, like authoritative way, but like us 3 can't lead our organizations if we don't have followers. So that's just the reality of what a leader can do. And I think authenticity is like the just so important. Like I see so many people in my life that I'm just like, why aren't you being yourself? Like, what do you guys think? Question for you guys is what keeps people from having the confidence to just be authentic? And why do people have to show why do they have to like pretend there's something that maybe in their heart and spirit they're just not? What are your guys' thoughts about that? Because I'm curious what comes to mind.
Yeah. I'm working on not loving my answers as much as I think I do most of the time. And what comes to my mind is a super core false belief that most of us have is that I'm not enough. So like that's what comes to mind. Is like I think that's what most of that facade, like most of us hiding or not showing up authentically, is rooted in the real me is not enough.
Mhm. I love that. Drew, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree at all with what Matt said, and I think fear is another big one. I noticed, um, myself. I've been way more active on social media. Doing this podcast, getting myself out there, and there was a ton of fear for me, and a lot of it was like you're just protected when you don't put yourself out there, and so it's like you put yourself out there, and you'll have a close friend message you and be like, "Who do you think you are?"
Yeah.
Saying stuff like this, and sometimes you deal with some of that, and that's scary. But most of the time, I found that and you've probably found this too, Brian, and I'm sure you have as well, Matt. But most of the time, I found when I share the stories and the things that's happened in my life, and I open up some vulnerability to show, like, hey, here's the things I've gone through, and here's how I overcame it, and you can too. Like that's helpful to people. I think people are yearning for that. In fact, um, was with another friend this week. We were speaking to a group of men, and he shared something he felt was vulnerable, and he's talked about the type that he's not emotional. And I told him, look, you don't have to be emotional to be vulnerable, but to hear, for someone to hear what you went through and know, like, oh, like he's up here and he's been through some of the challenges and struggles I have, that gives hope to people. And so, but I guess I'm going off topic, but but to answer the question, I think there's just this fear that I'm going to open myself up, and maybe it's a fear that I'm not enough, as Matt said. Maybe it's a fear of the criticism I'm going to receive from others. But yeah, I had a lot of fear initially when I decided I'm going to start sharing more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
And that's why I believe, like, what you're talking about, Brian, and the light you're creating and the light we're creating, like, it all matters, because in the end, we're ultimately attempting to influence people to show up as themselves, like as leaders. And
Yep.
yeah, what greater thing can someone experience than the freedom to just be them?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Um, and I think the core of your podcast, correct me if I'm wrong, is this notion that like you don't need the title to influence or be a leader, like the everyday leader.
Totally.
And I once again, I think it's being authentic in that role that you play in, and just smiling and highlighting things that they did well, and just simple things like, dude, it can really, people have influenced me saying those things, and I've tried to reciprocate that. So, um, anyways, it's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, so I have a question for you, Brian. So for those of you who don't know, Brian played a couple years D1 basketball here at Utah State, and had a really successful career. And so, Brian, I'm sure you played for a lot of different coaches growing up, a lot of different leadership styles, a lot of different coaching styles. Obviously, you've worked in several large organizations, so you've experienced different leadership styles from that standpoint as well. I had this thought the other day. We were playing in a baseball game, and again, I'm not trying to judge the opposing coaches, and just like observing, I had the thought come into my mind: poor leadership also works. Like, it creates motivation, it creates some, right? Maybe it's from a place of like fear or a place of shame or whatever, and like it creates results. I'm just curious your take on that. Like, what what have you seen in your athletic career, or your or otherwise, around that, like, and how that impacted you as a player, or how you performed when you did have, quote unquote, poor leadership
Yeah,
tactics being deployed on you?
yeah. It's a good thought. I would say I was very blessed with good coaches, ranging from high school to junior college to Stu Morrill, one of the most successful coaches that ever played at that coached at Utah State, which is a very recognizable university, and we had a lot of success, and he did too. Um, I would say most of the coaches, they're now like really close to me, but playing, they were more of like what's the opposite of a player's coach? Like a coach's coach? Is that a term?
A coach's coach.
Yeah, there's like you've got your player's coach, and I think what I'm noticing nowadays is call it kids are softer or whatever you want to call it. But like there's this like um people are attracted to that player's coach that's like really friendly and like a homie and like wants to um like really be a true friend. And I think that that has worked for a lot of coaches. I would I just think like once you cross the line, I think of like if you just the goal is to win the game. And once you have a team, once you cross that line of like buddying up with those players, I just can't imagine like how that would be when you just build such a good relationship, and then when they're not performing well, do you have the confidence, call it the audacity, the ability to like, even though like you've built such a deep relationship, their family, their goals, like do you have the confidence to sit them on the bench, or do you have the confidence to shoot straight with them? And I think this can kind of bleed into business, and I think it gets really convoluted. It's like we're here to make money, and yes, we want to build a culture that creates values. We want to build a culture that creates good leaders, and they become better leaders, and we want to add value in the society. But it's like I just I most of my coaches were coaches, and at the time, like they were like it's all about business. And I gained, at the time it was harder, but I gained a love for that type of coach because we won. It's like we won. There's winners and there's losers. And when there's a business like coach's coach, like we won a lot of games. And there was a point in my Utah State career where Coach Morrow, like I had a hard time playing under him. I had to get used to his style. And, he had a certain offensive structure, and it was just hard for me for a period of time. And so I did have to navigate like listening and following, but I also had to just like remember I had to do me. And I remember him telling me, he's like, "Hey Brian, if I'm not getting on you, I've given up on you." And see this guy over here? He was like a walk-on or something. Like, I'm never getting on him because I know he's not gonna, I'm glad he's on my team, but like he's proven to me he can't be a winner. So I know this is long-winded, Matt, but like I just think once again, be authentic. But I also think like in youth sports, it's also different than like you've gotta meet the opportunity where the opportunity resides. Um, I think the fundamentals of leadership kind of bleed into all aspects, but like youth sports, dude, I'm just huge on positive, 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 positive. Like I'm over indexing. They might make the worst. I mean, I'm coaching my 7-year-old right now in soccer, and like the kids can't shoot very well, but like good shot, keep shooting, keep shooting. Like I over index on positivity at that age, because if they if they are if they're already fearful of missing a shot at that age, they're not gonna love the sport. So but if they get to D1, like they've clearly been successful, they love the sport, they're the level where the fundamentals, I'm gonna be positive, but I've got to have the ability to be critical because we have to freaking win or I lose my job. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, totally. And just one follow-up question, like in those, what you're calling like more of a coach's coach that maybe were a little bit more, hard on you or a little bit less like friendly. Thinking back, how do you internalize? Like, did you feel like though that they had your best interest? That's what I'm curious about, because I
Mm.
obviously like high challenge and holding people to a standard is super important, and we need more of it in our world. And it seems like if we don't have, like, if someone doesn't trust someone though, then they don't get to do that for someone. So curious, like when they were like that with you, did you know though that they had your best interests, and is that how you were able to receive their critique or their challenge?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Like I totally mean for them to like have me on the team and being recruited, I knew they had my best interest. They knew what my role was. What also happened though is when you have a coach's coach, you know they're all business. So it requires the team, like it required me to like put the effort in to level up because at the end of the day, I knew that coach was going to play the best players. We were there to win. And so it created this standard and this expectation that um that I need to level up. So I there wasn't like there wasn't politics.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But once again, that's talking at a really, really high level. Like youth sports, I think my approach would be different. Um, and the goal would be just to get them to love the game.
Totally.
And and so it just kind of depends. But hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Well, what I'm kind of hearing and all that, Brian, it's like the problem with the player's coach is if he doesn't challenge you, right? It's like, can you still challenge and draw the best out of people if you're going to cross that line and, hey, I want to be your friend and your buddy. And at the same time, it's like there's also the opposite side where you see coaches that are just too hard and you don't feel support and you don't feel like they care. They just enjoy being a dictator or
Yeah.
something. And so it's like having both.
Yeah. Well, and I think like listening to you guys, like I've been inspired today to try to like meet in the middle. I want to be a servant leader and I want to care about that individual, but I want to have the ability in my life to like shoot straight with people and have such a relationship where it's like, hey, I do love you so much, but this is what I'm seeing, and I encourage you to improve here because I want you to be that much better. Um, I don't like this notion of lead by fear. I hope no one around me ever feels that, but I do like this notion of like I'm a winner and like we're gonna go win. Like, so it's gonna require hard conversations and it's gonna require a lot of work. And if that means I remember Ty Wesley, he was a it was I mean, he's I think he got put into the Hall of Fame at Utah State. He was our best player. Um, he was the conference player of the year, went on to have a great career in Europe. We we had the best relationship, but we were both captains of the team and we would chew each other out sometimes because it wasn't like we were just we got on each other because we expected it out of each other and we wanted to win and then off the court it was like nothing ever happened. So like how do you create that in a business setting where not to chew out, but like how do you have hard conversations, but then being around each other outside of work, you're best friends. Like that's like I think to me, I hope I can figure out a way to do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm learning that in the business setting.
No, it's awesome. And we do spend a lot of time exploring that because we don't have the answers, right? We don't have like the perfect formula. And you mentioned earlier, Brian, Jesus is the ultimate leader, like the ultimate example of leadership. And I believe, like you, that studying him, getting closer to him will show us more of that because he is that. He's the holding both of an insane level, an infinite level of love and acceptance, and also the ultimate standard and, challenge to be better and to rise. So I'm with you, man. I don't have all the answers, and I'm excited to keep learning and figuring it out.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Brian, hearing you give that example of you and this friend or teammate on the court, it's like you were likely both committed to winning, and you had the same vision and goal, and you probably both, a phrase that I've started using with a couple of people is your your ego is not your amigo. Um, you guys were probably focused on winning, and that's what you cared about, and so when you got off the court, you knew it came from a place that, hey, he's just focused on the mission. It's not because he wants to be right and prove me wrong, or vice versa.
Yeah,
So I just think that's
100%.
an important part of leadership, an important part of culture and an organization is when you can remember and hold space for that.
Yeah, and one thought too, like, when I was when there were times when I was getting whether a teammate was on me or I communicated a lot on the court. I would say that was one of my superpowers. I had to overcompensate on communication on the court because I was undersized. But when I was chewing a teammate out, I made sure that whatever I was telling them to do, like, I was doing that. So, for example, if I would always try to be the first one back on defense, or if I was getting back on defense, I would always try to I was hustling, I was working hard to get back, and I felt like I had the confidence to tell someone to improve there because I was doing it. I think oftentimes people have bad cultures or they don't get along with their leaders is because the leaders tell them to get back on D, but the freaking leader isn't back on D. So I think I think that's just fundamentally you gotta put your money where your mouth is or, like, lead by example.
Yeah, that's so good. My my friend Ken calls it your audio doesn't match your video sometimes, or
Mm,
making sure that your audio matches your video, right? And so I
yeah,
love that concept. Like, more is caught than is taught, and teach it, right? Like, and be about it before you go talk about it, or
yeah,
as you do. It's so good.
I love
Okay,
that.
real quick, I
Yeah,
know. So Brian's a very like committed, present, intentional father, and I've been thinking about this lately. Brian, curious your take on that very thing you're talking about. Sometimes in a family, that dynamic around like showing up as an example is a little bit different, or it seems a little bit more challenging because, like, for example, if I set the example and pick up all the stuff in my house that my kids leave everywhere, like, will they just get it and start doing it, right? However, if I also just like point out to them all the stuff they leave around all the time, and then they're like, "Well, what about you, dude?" I'm just curious your take. Like, what does that look like in a family? And maybe we can even just spend a couple minutes talking about it all together here. Like,
mhm,
what does that look like, right? Because we want to teach our kids to take responsibility. Sometimes I feel like I'm so focused on pointing out where they need to take responsibility that they're like, "Well, dude, why aren't you doing it?"
yeah. Yeah, and I would say I'm the same. That's probably where I need to improve the most, but I would yes, like, of anything we could be doing as men in our lives, what an opportunity in a short time frame. I mean, I don't know, Drew, you've got kids, right? Um,
Well,
Matt
yeah.
and I have kids the same age. It's like, dude, they I'm starting to see some of my negative attributes come out in my kids already, and, it's alarming. They aren't listening to our words. Of all the I do not think they're listening to our words. They are literally watching us like hawks. They're looking at how we're treating our wives. How are we treating them? And are we taking care of our things? Are we being clean? Um, are we challenging ourselves? And how are we interacting with people? Are we gossiping around people? Are we talking negatively about our family members? Are we talking negatively about our community? Um, like, it's one thing to read scriptures. It's like, dude, we could read all day in the morning, and I love LDS families that get up and read scriptures. But if we don't like, or any Christian or any religion, but it's, dude, Matt, I think more than ever, it is my example more than ever in family, dude. And I do think like this idea that you had of like cleaning up your room, I just think it's lead by example, but why? Why should we clean up our room? When you have a cleanly room, you can be more efficient with your time at like a deep level. You know where your clothes are, you know where your belongings are. There's an energy in your house that's just like you're eliminating distraction and decisions when you have a clean room because you're tidy, you know where your things are. What an opportunity to teach your kids that. And I don't know if I've sat down and told them that. It's like, if you can be clean in your life, I don't know, man. To answer your question, dude, I think more than ever, they're just watching us. They're not even listening. It's
Yeah,
so
That's
powerful.
that's the
that's so
gold in what
good.
you just said. Like they're not listening; they're just watching, and that's not
I
even
hope,
kids. Like it's everywhere,
yeah,
Yeah.
I
everybody.
hope everyone that started listening to this podcast stayed until minute 38 because that's gold. They're not listening. Like your kids aren't listening to the words you're saying. And that's not a bad thing, right? That's actually like, so then make sure your video is accurate because your audio is not really carrying a lot of weight.
Or they're
Yeah.
only going to listen if the videos
If the
if
video's
the video
working,
right. Yeah, if the video
Yeah.
works.
It it's pretty it's a if I can feel the weight right now just thinking about my kids and like this concept of they aren't listening, they're watching, like, man, and I think when we do say things or when we do kind of act in ways that might be contrary to what we're trying to teach, I think what an opportunity to sit down with them and ask for forgiveness. And I do think they might hear the words, but they're gonna remember what that feels like, and then I think, will learn that concept of, like, leaders aren't perfect, but it's having the confidence to, like, say you're sorry and that I was wrong, and that bond will get deeper. So
yeah,
I don't know.
that's awesome, man. We talk about that a lot on the show. That it's like we joke that that's the thing we get to practice with the most as dads is apologizing.
Yeah,
And it matters, right? To your point, like there's nothing like going and leveling up with your kids, like getting on their level, giving them a hug and just being like, hey, that's on me. Like, I'm really sorry. Like, what
yeah,
is that teaching them, right? What is that video teaching them? What is that, you know, example teaching them? So that's awesome. That's why we can, if you're listening, give yourself grace, be authentic, own when you don't show up the way you want to, and, keep climbing.
yeah.
All right, BG, send us off with just like, what are you excited about right now, man? Like share some of your energy with our listeners and just, yeah, what are you excited about?
Um, I think today, like, I'm excited for the beautiful weather. I'm excited for the sun and, like, just, like, um, I'm excited for the, people I'm surrounding myself with today. I'll speak for today, like, I've got some great meetings set up, and, I get so much energy with the people I surround myself with, and, I would say I'm excited to improve and, um I don't know. I appreciate you guys inviting me because it's inspired me. Like, if no one listens, it's inspired me to just like recalibrate my video. Um, like I just am excited to just be alive and to get better. Like, I didn't have the best morning, in the sense of like working out and like hitting my like non-negotiables. And what an opportunity to like just it's 9:50 where I'm at, and, like, dude, I've got such a freaking awesome day ahead of me, like, I'm gonna get after it. I don't know. I just feel blessed, dude, to be alive, and, I love what I do, and, shout out to what you guys are doing at AMP and helping, helping other men grow, and, Matt, I'm so excited for you and what you're doing with Build. Like, I'd love to put a plug in there. You're gonna be bringing entrepreneurs together, and you're a great coach. And Drew, dude, I don't know you as well, but like, you're just saving lives and building planes and everything that you do,
Literally.
man. It's like, so I would just say, like, I'm excited for the opportunity to improve today and to love myself for like just like I have everything I need. I am ambitious, I wanna improve, and I'm just gonna love myself today. That's what I'm excited about in doing. So,
That's awesome, man.
Hey, well,
I don't
let
know.
us give a plug for you, Brian. Brian's got a podcast, so make sure you go follow Brian's podcast. Is it
Yeah.
Brian Greene Show?
Yeah, the
I got it
Brian
right.
Greene show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
we haven't even talked about this today, and maybe we'll have to do another episode and talk a little more about it. But Brian helps people invest in real estate. I was like sneaking on your LinkedIn profile while we've been talking and saw your post of your team buying $130 million worth of real estate the last couple of years. So if you want to invest in real estate, you want to buy apartment complexes, you got to reach out to Brian, and he could probably tell you how you can get your money invested into that kind of stuff. So
Thanks,
Yeah.
Drew. Thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
everybody. Well, as we like to say, today's the day. Go be a leader. Like Brian said, love yourself and look for the things that you're grateful for and express those. And today's the day. Thanks for being on, Brian. Love you, man.
All right.
You're
Love you guys. Have a
the
great
goat.
day.
thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us on the Everyday Leader podcast. If you're ready to take your leadership journey even further, subscribe to our weekly newsletter for more insights and practical tips. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram to stay a part of our growing community. Just follow the links in the show notes. If this episode impacted you, please help us spread the word and share the link with a friend from wherever you're listening.